Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity. I'm Satya Chakravarthy. Without further ado, let's actually get started on this particular session. We have Srinath, who has a flight to catch. We have got a delay in starting this, so I'm going to let Srinath go first. On this topic, the topic here is rocket science to startup science. It turns out that, so we have the rocket man, the moon man, who has actually been doing rockets for a long time, and we have a rocket startup person. So Srinath actually, can do both rockets and startup together. So Srinath, how has your journey been so far? And then we will come to the actual topic. So you can just go over how's it been in a gist.
Yeah. So thank you for having me here
and cover both the rocket and the startup part.
Yeah. And it's actually an honor to be addressing you all, particularly with Professor Satya and Annadurai sir. So usually a lot of the jargon in the startup world seems to take a lot of inspiration from the rocket science world. We're talking about acceleration, we're talking about ignition. There is a lot of these words, I think, come
they
from
talk about launch, right?
Launch.
I always think it's actually the rocket that's launching.
So I think in that way, people have always thought about rocket science in a startup way only, whether you're from a space agency or from a private sector. So a lot of times we use those words interchangeably in Agnikul. And I think that's a nice opportunity. But I think when we started in 2017, and actually Professor Satya has been a big reason for starting itself, we didn't think we'll even get to this level in this way, right? We knew someday we'll fly a rocket, but the way it happened, how the policies have opened up, how today it is actually not that hard to raise the first few, maybe tens of crores for building a rocket. All of these things are a complete surprise. What still seems to left to be proven, I think, is doing this at scale. Can we do 100 rockets a year? Can the entire infrastructure, ecosystem, policy, all of that scale up for about 100 rockets here? I think that is going to be the next challenge to look forward.
That's a good point that you said, because one of the things I remember Dr. Pavan Goenka point out about Agnikul in particular, since we are here with you, is that Agnikul actually has conceptualized scaling even before you started the prototyping by going the 3D printing way. Right? Tell us a little bit about how you actually conceptualized a product that will scale from a technology point of view. I understand that you need to have policies and other things, the ecosystem that's required for scaling, but purely from a technology point of view, how did you conceptualize? Of course, I was also part of it. That's a different matter. So, how did you conceptualize the product that will actually scale and the technology to back it?
Yeah, so I think I look at the audience here more and probably another answer because you know the answer mostly. No, I think from the very beginning we were focused on building this in a modular way, right? So that we are not figuring out one complex thing, then completely another complex thing and another complex system and so on. We were trying to find the basic set of unit blocks to put in place and achieve that at as low a cost as possible with as little time spent as possible. So that ended up being the starting point, right? So once that was in place, now we are able to scale up or even scale down in some sense because we built a unit that can be done that way. So our engines are an example of that, where instead of building a bigger rocket engine, we thought we'll go with a clustering aspect. Similarly, even with the staging itself, for example, which has happened in rockets before, but we thought of it, we extending it to a much deeper level where by iterating on the number of stages itself, a rocket's capacity itself can be changed, its carrying capacity can be changed and so on. So modularity and clustering and those kind of concepts, I think, is what kept us going with manufacturing that allows for that. I think that is the part that was the harder thing to figure out. That's where a lot of the 3D printing aspects came in, right? Wherein we knew that once we are able to get a unit engine made in the easiest possible manner, then just copy pasting that multiple times will help.
Yeah. So the just-in-time printing. So what do you see going forward in the medium term, which is like, let's say, the next 2 to 3 years? And what's your vision for the next 5 to 10 years? Yeah.
Yeah, so actually I'll answer that from one of the questions that one of investors asked me in a pitch, right? And he looks like he happened to know a little bit about rockets. So the question he asked, so we always talk about our suborbital launch, for the technology we have done. So the question he asked me was, if I fly the exact same vehicle on the exact same day again, will it go to the exact same point before the burnout happened? So that question, in that conversation, I somehow managed it, but that actually got me, to think about how many processes are there in the company that allows for such a thing to be built, right? Where we are able to do the same thing over and over and over with very tight margins. And I think with rockets particularly, we, at least outside of ISRO here, everyone knows about SpaceX. And when generally you talk about SpaceX, people talk about the landing of the booster and so on. But people, maybe at least the people outside the industry, don't talk about the fact that they have a process in place to do 135 rocket launches a year, which means they have other things in place to catch the right mistakes at the right time, to, first of all, starting from the raw material all the way to the software they write, to the processes they use. Everything has been streamlined to that level. So I think that is our focus in the next 2-3 years. Of course, we will have to do more commercial missions and so on, but beyond that, how can we build systems that with a little more effort will scale to 100 rockets a year, 150 rockets a year? How can we build systems where the mistakes will be caught at the right time and not, after the vehicle lifts off? So those are the focus areas for us.
So, in a StartupTN context, would you fancy becoming the SpaceX of small rockets, at least in the near future?
Yeah, I think SpaceX of anything is good, Tamil Nadu for sure, but even beyond that, I think there's a lot to learn from. And from my own story, so my first time I got directly introduced to rockets or satellites actually was with an ISRO setting. There was a contest in school that I won, and I ended up touching a GSLV satellite, I think a GSAT satellite, which was in, I think in Bangalore. So the inspiration has been ISRO, but then when the thing that pushed me towards Agnikul was definitely more of a SpaceX thing. And then coming back here, I've continued to be inspired by all the ISRO people. So yeah, SpaceX of India, SpaceX of Asia. And there have been people who have said SpaceX should be called the Agnikul of something. So
yeah, definitely, yes. We will get there, but before that, we need to be the SpaceX of something.
Of course.
So since you brought up ISRO and the inspiration that it served to you, it's actually a very good segue to focus on Dr. Annadurai.
Of course.
You have about 7.5 minutes. You can stay to pick up the memento and so on, or you want to leave?
I'll stay for one question. I want to hear sir speak. So
absolutely.
After that,
we have about 7 minutes. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is exactly the midpoint. So I want to actually get back to you to ask a fairly similar question that I did to Srinath in the beginning. In a nutshell, so tell us about your journey. Because, everybody knows exactly what you went through, but we always want to hear from you the key highlights, so to speak.
Yeah, putting the long story short, when ISRO was in the startup condition, I started my life in the ISRO. Today, when we're talking about the rocket science, ISRO is a synonymous in India. So that's the way it really a long journey. But long journey, now at the end of the time, now when you're looking at here, the startups like Agnikul, not only startups like Agnikul in the rocket science, now I'm also a good places, look at how the things are happening, starting from agricultural to the medical science, the startups, how it's going on. That means the rocket science, what all we started and we have done, and to make it perfect, to make it an usable system, application driven. Today's India's development, definitely space also playing a role. Definitely, that is the growth enabled that. So that means today at this transition, when the startups are coming for across, not only rocket science, across the spectrum is concerned, the lessons learned definitely can fit in there. That means the schooling, engineering, whichever they do, it is not the subject what you studied better. It is how good you are able to understand, and so that assimilate and get ready to adapt to the new situation. That is what all the more important. I think rocket science is all about that. Rocket science is all about that. So today's startup also think it is not as simple to start, but definitely if you follow some discipline, some way of going, the height what you reach is the one what rocket science shows. Okay, you may start with a very, very silent mode, but your reach rocket science enables you to, provided you follow the rules, you follow the principles, you follow the system. Definitely stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, yes, done that. I think today when I'm standing here, definitely talking with the startup people, which brought me a rocket science here. So that way, I think rocket science definitely has a lot more to feed into the startups of, I think, every field is concerned.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have asked you this before, but for the sake of our audience, there are lots of people that are also from abroad. Tell us briefly about that particular part of your career where you are the project director for the moon mission, India's first moon mission, that shot us to fame. And how did it feel when you succeeded?
Yeah, again, to start with, we are the one among the lot to go to the moon. But definitely we felt we should not be one among the lot. We are one of the best to go to the moon. Okay, I think that is the bottom of my heart, whatever has happened there. Almost like a startup story, I'm putting it to my whole team I told. Okay, we should not be also ran case. We should be one among in the history. To write the history, I think we have opportunities given. Let this make the opportunity well. Telling is easier, doing is tough. Getting it done is very tougher. Moon remains same, and you go from the earth, and the moon has been explored not once or twice. Before that, 99 attempts have gone to the moon. Various ways, failures, whatever it is. People have landed on the moon, they brought back the samples and told moon is barren. 30 years moon was not looked at. That time we started our mission. Same moon we have seen differently. The difference make a big difference to see the places where they landed and seen moon is a barren even today. Where people have not explored, we could see the abundance of water molecules, and that is the one that rewrites the lunar science itself now. Today, the lunar science is talking about how the water has come, how the producing, everything has happened. So, looking back, definitely the opportunity was, we are also lost in the queue. Definitely, it's brought India in the forefront of the lunar sciences today's concern. And that way, I think opportunity was given. We made use of the opportunity. And so that is what previous question I told. So this is the lesson back to the startup thing also, wherever it is there. You take this opportunity and move forward. Your destiny is waiting for you in a much way.
So ISRO is now very busy with the Gaganyaan program, where they are getting ready to put a Vyomonaut, as we call them in India, into space. And we probably expect that to happen around the next year or so. What is your gut feel on when will India put a human being on the moon beyond where we are today? And is there a chance that China is actually very much in the race and they are probably well ahead in this game? What is your gut feel on whether it's possible by hook or crook, whichever way, that we might be the ones that actually go to the moon as humans and land there safely and come back right next to the Americans about 50, 60 years ago?
Yeah, I feel because the Chandrayaan has paved the way, once again, humans need to go back to the moon. Having done that, Chandrayaan also showed the way how a lunar science can be done. The international collaboration is the major milestone of that. I take forward that, and tomorrow's the human missions go back to the moon should be an international effort. In that international effort, India being a player to play the seed for the human mission back to the moon, India also can be an active role on that. So that way, Indians going to the moon will be accelerated. Human going to the moon also will be made perfected. And using the moon for the common sense of the whole humanity also can happen there. So that way putting together, humans going back to the moon, India can play a reasonably good role. In that, Indians also going to the moon became a reasonably good role. And it is not just symbolic presence on the moon, how moon can be used back to the humanity. I think that is the thing will happen. I used to tell many places, America is a land which was discovered by the Columbus, who went search for a new route for India. That is America today. That America failed to discover water on the moon. Today, India discovered water on the moon. So tomorrow's America is in the moon. India play a meaningful role. Very much finite possibility.
Yeah, last question, and in the interest of time, how do you see the emergence of the startups that we are seeing happen in India contribute to the space program in India? How will they join and supplement and complement what ISRO is doing, according to you?
Yeah, I foresee a lot. Anyhow, Srinath himself is sitting here. I foresee that definitely time has come there. When even from Coimbatore airport, we are seeing every 1 hour a flight is taking off. And then day is not far from Kulasegarapattinam. Every day launch taking place is very, very, very finite possibility. When that happens, I myself told ISRO alone cannot do. Definitely the startups have to play a role. That means the market is opening, opportunity is coming there, and the startups definitely they can gear up. And daily one launch means it's not the same person. Couple of things. The Kulasegarapattinam definitely will be enabling multiple players to have the launch campaign to being there. I know Agnikul also getting fine-tuned towards that. So that way, I believe, and that launch is not only for India. India's need itself is huge. Beyond that, India is showing the way how economical is our launches. Kulasegarapattinam gives one of the best location where launch can take place. And around that, government of Tamil Nadu, government of India, both are competing to give an ecosystem that will help for the startup to do. I am also playing a reasonably good role in the policy of both the states and central is concerned. So that way, that emerging ecosystem in and around Tamil Nadu, Kulasegarapattinam will enable the startups to do a better for not only for India, for the global players. So Elon Musk may not be single way. Combinedly, I think we can make multiple Elon Musk finally possible.
Awesome. I think you answered the question that I asked Srinath. Good. Thank you so much. I think we're completely out of time. Unfortunately, it was an exciting session as far as I was concerned. I hope the audience also felt the same way. Short, crisp, but very, very impactful responses from both these gentlemen. Amazing people in their own spheres, whatever they have achieved so far. Lot more to come for Srinath. All the best for you. And all the best for your stellar career that's still progressing further and further on. Thank you so much.